Introduction. So BurgerFuel. If you don't know about BurgerFuel, go buy a cheeseburger. Go make my time here worthwhile and allow me to keep my job. We are a New Zealand company. A lot of people thought we were American, but we're actually a New Zealand company. But we're sort of taking on the world. We've got this whole challenger attitude. We're in the Middle East, so we've got a store in Iraq, a few in Dubai, and a whole bunch in Saudi Arabia as well. Next on the list is Egypt, Libya, and I think Qatar. So we have this great dream that we're going to take over the world with burgers. And the big global mission of BurgerFuel was to run a global company from New Zealand. So this is the challenge. So that's a bit of context. Now me. So obviously I do the marketing for BurgerFuel Worldwide. I think very, very simply, we're in this position where I went from just running New Zealand, and now we're actually trying to teach these guys how to live the BurgerFuel brand overseas. Very, very interesting challenge, because you've got guys who have never, ever experienced a brand like ours, and they've never experienced burgers like ours, and they also don't even really speak English, some of them, so that's fun. Now, I'd like to talk about you guys. You're not a BurgerFuel girl, but I'm running under the assumption that you guys already know about Twitter and Facebook and YouTube. You don't need me to come up here and Google search for you. You guys really can go out there and do it yourselves. You don't need another stat on whether or not we should use Facebook or not, and you've seen the Social Network movie. So that's where I'm starting from. Us. This is us. This is what was in the brochure. Brochures always sound a lot better than what actually is going to come about. And I looked at it, and you always kind of agree to these speaking engagements, and you see it, and you're like, yep, we'll talk about the topic. I'm there, book me in. And all of a sudden you get to look at writing the presentation, and you look at the things, and it's like, it's very, very complicated. So I'm going to translate these, because I think it's really important that we start there. So when the swift increase in digital-based communication mediums, with the swift increase in digital-based communication mediums available, how do you ensure that a consistent brand message is communicated across all platforms? So for me, this is very much, I got signed off for a social media program, and now things are starting to get a little bit out of control. How do I hold it together before I become a social media don't case study? Next one is ensuring brand identity and equity is developed and sustained across all channels. It's basically my social media can't do it as good as I can, but I don't want to micromanage the micro messages either. Sorry, we'll go back. Utilizing the most effective mix of channels given your product portfolio and target market. Very simply, I only want to set up a Pinterest or Instagram or LinkedIn or whatever account if I really have to. Multi-channel campaign management. I have more than a Facebook page now. All right, so let's kick it off. I've brought that down into 3 things, and there's a bonus one. I thought diamonds, girl's best friend, 4 C's. So we're going with consistency, channels, campaigns. Those are the 3 points that we had there. So I'm going to break my presentation into those 3, and then we're going to have one at the end, which actually, now that I've seen the keynote speakers, isn't that much of a mystery, but let's get on with it. So first of all, consistency. We have stores all over the world. So these are pictures from New Zealand, Saudi Arabia, Dubai, Iraq. My flatmate actually managed to wander over to Iraq, and he said, the thing I liked about BurgerFuel in Iraq, he said it was just like BurgerFuel New Zealand. The guys had tattoos. He just felt it was actually just like being in New Zealand. And that's the dream for us. But the reality is that it's not always like that. We've got a great car culture at BurgerFuel. Around here we say, take your car, your promo car, drive it around. The guys in Saudi Arabia, they park it in front of the stores. It's like Motat for them. And that's not really living their brand. So we need to work out, how do we get these guys to do this in the digital world? So this is Jess. She doesn't head up my social media program. She works at a head office. She's my marketing admin assistant. She was 18 when we took this photo. That was 2 years ago. All of you guys have a Jess, or maybe a Jim. It's your marketing intern. They're not the person to be running your social media program. But I will say, she's not the person who's going to be running it yet. Just because someone knows how to do Facebook, we get a lot of people come in and say, oh, look, I've used Facebook my whole life. I tweet all the time. I've got 5,000 followers. These are not your social media managers. These can be, but not yet. So marketers, you can't go hands-off as much as I like to. On the other side, I was at a presentation. This is Alec Ross. Really nice quote. 21st century is a terrible time to be a control freak. This is the balance. Alec Ross did the social media campaign for Obama, and now he works for Hillary Clinton. He's got the best title I've ever seen. Works for the state government as the Senior Advisor for Innovation. I like that. I might make that my title some stage. So the 21st century is a terrible time to be a control freak. So I've got this balance of, I don't want to micromanage those messages, but Facebook is happening. Social media is happening. The original strategy at BurgerFuel for social media was, we're not going to do Facebook. We're going to let our fans do it. We're going to let them do it. We had a page with about 8,000 people. This was 3 or 4 years ago. We're like, we're not going to do it. Our fans are doing it. We don't want to waste our time on tweeting and Facebooking and all of that. We're not going to do it. Our franchisees, who are really important to us, they aren't going to want me to be sitting on Facebook all day, every day. But what we found after a while was that people wanted us to be there. They were actually going to this page that a fan had created and started putting posts in, and no one was getting back to them. They all thought it was us because it was so big. It was 8,000 from nothing, and all it had was the big question mark, I think, and they put a picture of a burger up there that was about 3 years old. But we felt that we had to. We jumped on there, so because people are doing it anyway, so you've got to get out there. So I'm going to look at the different types of teams that can be used to manage your social media program. There's dedicated. So it's a team solely focused on social media comms and activity. That's a team that do nothing but social media. So if you've got a digital brand manager, if you've got someone who all day it's Facebook, Twitter, all the other social media channels, that's what they do. Nothing else. They're a totally different department. Integrated model, social media is incorporated into existing roles. And different departments may be trained in social media. So this might be some of you guys who are in marketing, might be some of your people in customer service. It could just be someone who was the first person in your company to have actually discovered LinkedIn. That's that person who went on there and they set up their profile and they decided to say, I work at BurgerFuel Worldwide and I'm going to set up the BurgerFuel Worldwide brand page to make me look better. There's outsourced. This is when an external company provides social media planning and content. Right now, while I am in-house, I'll say I'm not a fan of outsourced. I really feel that you need to take it in and do it yourself. The other one, I had dedicated, integrated. This was originally dissociated, but I know there are a lot of agencies here, so I don't want to say that. But I think there is a time where they can add value, but I think in New Zealand, do it yourselves, get in there, start there, and then when you're getting bigger, bring on an agency to add value to what you're already doing. This is a case study or an infographic. Okay, it is one thing that you can Google, but it really proved my point, which made me look better, I guess. This is a whole bunch of airlines that run social media. And airlines, big budgets, and they, as you can see, 100,000 tweets in March 2011. So imagine that's probably about 5 times that now. So 40% are expanding their social media teams. So that's the one at the bottom left. Bottom left. Top middle, these teams include members from different departments. So corporate comms, marketing, customer service, e-commerce, interactive. There's a comparison there of airlines using the integrated model, so that's people within the team, how they're doing, and the ones with the dedicated models. As you can see, JetBlue, 1.6 million on Twitter. Virgin America, 200,000. And Virgin America, they are a great company. They've got a great brand. Everyone knows Virgin, but still, there's a big difference. I've never even heard of JetBlue until I've seen these guys, but look at what they are in the States. Dedicated team. And I think where dedicated team is really, really important is you have people who are engaging in your social media who know what's going on in the business and they can actually affect the campaigns that are happening. It's really, really important. For me, integrated is not just about what's going across the channels, it's about what's going across your organization. So, as you can see, allocation of resources, dedicated model, integrated model. I pretty much ripped those off in my slide before. This is what we do at BurgerFuel. We have a system, it's integrated, we use integrated, I call them channel champions. Basically, everyone's given a channel. They're responsible for that channel. They have to create content for that channel and make it exciting. It's their job. So I look after Twitter. I like Twitter because it keeps me connected to the customers. I find that as time's gone on, as the company and the brand has gotten bigger, I get more and more dissociated from the actual customers, my people, as I like to call them, or my tweeps. And Twitter, I find, is a really, really good way for me to actually see what they're saying about the brand. I want to know whether or not the service is right in store. Are the people actually doing things right? Chloe is our brand manager for New Zealand. She manages Facebook, and sort of that's the BurgerFuel page, which doubles up as the international page. And then we've got Kaylee and Jess. So as you can see, I've got these little tricycles next to this because they're in training. They're not allowed to do anything live. They're only allowed to watch. The email icon there for Jess, she's starting off and doing customer feedback. When we get emails in, she does that. And the big rule I have with her, you have to read the email. We have templates. Yes, we do these things, but I'm saying, see what that customer says. Use that language back to them because that's the language, the emotive language that they're using. That's what they want you to hear. Don't just go, thanks for your inquiry, blah, 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 blah. You know, there's always basic 2 paragraphs. And yes, we do use them, but I want her to respond to the email or the message that has actually come in. What did the customer actually say? So that's why they're all in training wheels. Eventually they'll move up and they'll go free. Very hard for me to let go of the Facebook page, but Chloe does it very, very well and probably better than I do. Jess also monitors Facebook, Saudi Arabia, Dubai, and Iraq. It's her job to go in there and check on there, tell me if there's any content, and then I actually respond to it personally if she finds anything. Less activity there, but that's the model we have at the moment. Sentiment monitoring, so it's a really big part of the role. This is just an example. We don't do this presentation all the time, but it's just a really nice way of looking at Twitter, Foursquare, Facebook. What are the things that are happening? I think it's a really, really important tool. So the watching and learning is really, really important for my teams. I make sure they do it. It's like find out what the customers are saying to you and look at the way that different people respond. We just did a big menu change out in BurgerFuel. We took off a few burgers, which is always hard. Customers hate that, apparently. But it was very important for the brand because we needed to do it because it's all about creating a better experience for the customers. And in the long term, that's what we wanted to achieve. But we made sure we had meetings that when Chloe was going on Facebook and I was going on Twitter and Jess was collecting these emails, that we actually got together and we made sure that the messages were consistent, and we talked to each other. We actually talked to each other in real life. We didn't tweet each other. We didn't email each other. We sat down, had a meeting. We even printed out the things in hard copy. And we said, look, what are the most common themes that people are saying to us, and what are the messages that are resonating? So we started to create these common lines that when a customer says this, when you say something along these lines, it actually starts to resonate. They understand it. So sentiment monitoring is really important, and sharing that information with each other is important as well. I start with the brand personality. When I tell my staff, my team, and I say, whenever you communicate, make sure you go back to the brand values. Really, really important. Social media is not this thing that sits over there. It's part of marketing. It's in there. So I say, when you're putting a message out, if possible, and it's pretty easy with us because we've got sense of humor, so we just do something funny. But I say, try and reinforce one of the brand values in every message. You know, just one of them. It's not that hard. Can you show that you're being informed? Can you show that you're being energetic, that you're confident, that you're friendly, that you're professional, that you have a sense of humor, that you're passionate, innovative? So these are all great ones, but these are this is the BurgerFuel brand skull. So I should have introduced it. It's a very, very important marketing tool we have at BurgerFuel, the skull. So that's where we start, right there with the brand personality. This is the next step for me. I'm really, really scared about this one, again, because it's the whole control freak thing. This is the 10 rules of social media for staff. There is a typo in there. Free burger for whoever spots it later on and come see me afterwards. But this isn't for my team. This is actually for all the staff in the system. And we're actually saying, guys, I want you to go out there and be on Facebook. I don't want you to run our channel, but we want you guys to be liking and retweeting our messages. To be honest, this scared the shit out of me when we first started talking about it, but I felt we needed to do it. Very importantly, we said, if you have nothing nice to say, don't say it. I think that's a really, really good one, but we need to break down to really, really simple terms for our staff, not because they're simple, but because they're there to, be in the store, deliver a great customer experience. Their core activity is not to be running Facebook. We actually had a model where one day after we had great success with the BurgerFuel Facebook page, we were like, okay, all stores, get a Facebook page. You got to do it. It's the next big thing. And it failed spectacularly. It was the wrong decision because we took our franchisees that did it away from their core business, and that was delivering the best possible customer experience. So we actually shut down all those Facebook pages, and we decided to go for this model instead. It's about the staff sharing the messages that HQ is already putting out. So that's a guidelines example. Send me an email next year and we'll see how this one goes. So, summarize this. I think you should choose natural communicators in your team. People who know how to write, hopefully know how to spell, but also understand the lingo of what's going out today. I used the word passion in a tweet a few months ago. I got lambasted for it. I was told, no, hook up, all sorts of other things. So, I know there's a point where I'm going to be too old to tweet for BurgerFuel, but, I sort of said it in jest and I covered it up as like, just kidding, using some old school language for you guys. Staff also need to be passionate about the channel. They need to care. If they don't care about Facebook, if they don't use it in their personal lives, they're not going to be able to do it for your business. Create staff training environments. So this is watch and learn, tell, show, do. Don't put them straight into, the real time. You wouldn't put your Jess. She's very talented though, but she's not ready yet. I'm not going to put her in front of Campbell Live. Same thing with social media. You've got 1,000 Campbell Lives out there who are just going to jump on her. Freedom within a framework. You have to let go. Vision, goals, guidelines, principles, empowerment. Just like any other initiative. Distinguish the brand versus the individual. I am not the BurgerFuel Twitter, and I was never the BurgerFuel Facebook. There are certainly parts of my personality that resonate with BurgerFuel, and that's why I work there, that's why I love the place, but it's not Lex tweeting, it's BurgerFuel tweeting. So make sure that your staff really, really understand that with the brand culture guidelines. It's really, really important. It's not party time, it's work time. No drunken tweeting. That's one of our other rules internally. Establish playtime versus work time and expectations. Social media, 24/7. It is not 9 to 5. Not that our guys work 9 to 5. Everyone works 8 to 6 now, and 8 to 7 and 8 to 8. But they have to be on it all the time. That's the rules. If you want to do social media, you want to be part of this fun, exciting things, I expect you to do it after hours and in your weekends. You know why? Because our customers eat dinner. And dinner is at dinner time. It's not at 9 o'clock on Monday when you've kind of had a big weekend, you want to find something to do other than real work. Social media is real work, but it's to be done at the right time. And they need to be there to respond as well when our customers are there. Give them the toys and the tools. Very, very simply, social media department gets iPhones or Androids or whatever. That's what we did. I think about 2 years ago, our social media budget was, I got an iPad. That was the whole budget. Now it's a little bit bigger, but really we don't spend that much, but we do give them the right tools, and that's something we actually incorporate into the marketing budget, because I'm not going to tweet on a BlackBerry. I just can't do it. I need my Hootsuite. I need all of that stuff. I need those tools. BlackBerry, I tried it once, and will never ever do it again in my life. It was so hard, and it just got to the point where it's like, forget it. No more social media at BurgerFuel. So we got the tools. All right, channels. I ripped this off something else on the internet. It was all about donuts, but we're BurgerFuel. So these are the channels. Twitter, I'm eating a burger. Facebook, I like burgers. Foursquare, this is where I eat burgers. As you can see, it goes on, it goes on. Spotify, now listening to burgers. That's a music channel. Pinterest, I like. Here's a burger recipe. That's really what it's about. So you're going to work out what channels are relevant to your brand or your business. One of the things you hear a lot is content is king. A lot. That was the big thing when social media came out. Content is king. Yeah, do it. Content is king. Content isn't king. I think maybe context is king. I've heard contact is king. If I get fired and I become a consultant, I will tell you consult is king. But really, context and contact is king. The context is all about the message at the right time to your customer. You need to engage and have a relationship with your customer. Have a conversation. Context is king. So that's what I really, really believe. It's like, for us, our context is food. So we really, really like to put our messages out when people are hungry, just before lunchtime, just before dinner time. Great picture of a juicy, hot, delicious sea and cheese is great. Sometimes when we're out, we'll even tweet out, it's time for the 3 a.m. Hamburgini at Ponsonby, because that is an amazing burger at 3 a.m. and 3 p.m. It's sort of got this kind of dual space-time continuum. The other thing, remember, even though content isn't king, shit content still equals shit campaign. Simple as that. Marketers in social media today have lost the art. They don't craft. It's just messages. Get it out. Say something every day, every week, every hour, every second. It's not what it's about. Create and craft your messages. Marketing is an art and a science. Don't ever forget that. Don't let your teams forget that. this guy who wrote a blog, but he just worded it so nicely, I thought I'd steal it. Logic makes your customers think, but emotion makes them buy. That's what you're actually trying to tie into your marketing program with social media. You want to get that emotion, tug on the heartstrings, and not in an evil way. It's like, I'm going to make them love me and then they'll buy my burgers. It's like you actually have to sit there and go, I want them to buy their burgers because I know it's going to be better for them, and I want to have that relationship. So logic makes your customers think, but emotion makes them buy. So where are you going to go on social media? What channels are you going to choose? One of those. Go for it. Throw a dart at the board. You can go anywhere. I used to, one of the conferences I had is like, what do I do if I'm in B2B? It's great, BurgerFuel, you guys sell burgers. And my only answer back then was like, you're screwed. Sorry, can't do anything for you. But now there's LinkedIn. So B2B, you don't have an excuse anymore. You guys have got something out there. Get all your sales managers out there and contacting all their old school friends networks. And, that's LinkedIn, that's business. But there's so much there. You have to pick. You can't do all of these. I don't even speak Chinese properly. I can't go on the Chinese network. But eventually when we're in China, I'll have to learn Chinese. Pinterest, really good example. I am in two minds of whether or not BurgerFuel should be on Pinterest. Gender breakdown, 68% of users are women. Social media generally has a female skew, but Pinterest is very, very high. Look at the average time spent on site. Pinterest, 15.8 minutes. Great if you've got a huge message, you've got a lot of things to say and you want people to absorb it. Look at the sort of brands that are on there, Nordstrom, Whole Foods. These are the places that are, look at the age demographics, 25 to 34. Who doesn't want that? That's everyone's demographic. Annual company growth, they're getting bigger, very nice. I always like to see that. But all social media companies are always getting bigger when they start, so don't get fooled by that. But look at the referral traffic percentages. Pinterest, admittedly only 3.6%, but this is the internet. It's always, 1% is like, oh, it's almost a success. But more than LinkedIn, Google+, and YouTube combined. If this is your market, this is where you should be. Fish where your fish are. That's what I believe. That's what channel you should be on. Don't be on Facebook, don't be on Twitter, just because those are the staple two. Campaigns. I just really want to kind of do this with C's. It's more activities, but the 4 C's, diamonds, it worked well. Revolution in retail. I spoke at Project Revolution a few weeks ago, maybe a month ago. The topic there was, how will the already declining bricks and mortar retail world stave off or integrate the ballistic tricks and mortar bombings of the virtual and online world? Basically, it was just like, how does a retail shop like us work with online? Campbell Brown's over there, grab one. E-commerce. He's got the dream social media job. It's easy for him. He can track everything. I sell cheeseburgers. People got to get off their butt and come to a store and buy a cheeseburger. It's no good to me if they just tweet and say, I like BurgerFuel, but they don't actually buy a burger. So that's the challenge. So we bring it back to what we're talking about. Radio BurgerFuel is something that we did to create the customer experience, because we're about bringing people into the customers. Yes, it's social media, it's online, radioburgerfuel.com, of course. You can tune in during your break. But we wanted something that would improve the customer experience. So that's one side. Tweets and Treats, the community, we reward customers for tweeting about BurgerFuel. And what I wanted here was the local pub feel. I wanted that feeling that someone saw their friend up on the screen, and they do, and they're like, yeah, they also went to BurgerFuel. It's like everyone went to BurgerFuel at the same time, but at 40 different places across the world. It's creating that community. BAD, BurgerFuel Athletic Department. Credibility is really, really important. This is where I got my black eye the other day. We're actually starting the gym. This is like the next generation of Radio BurgerFuel meetings. We're going to create this gym because we're a lifestyle brand. We're not just about burgers. We're fuel for the human engine. So that's going to be something that's coming up in the next 2 or 3 years. Loyalty, the recognition through Foursquare. Some people do the coffee card. Ideally, it's our staff in store going, hey, I remember you. You come here every week. Here's a little something on us, but they're not always going to be able to do that. So this is where things like Foursquare come in. The reality, listen to your customers. Home of the happier meal. Asked me 5 years ago, are we going to do kids' meal? I said, never. It's sellout. We're not going to do that. But the reality is our customers spoke to us and they said, I love BurgerFuel, but I've got kids now. You guys are 17 years old. We're 17 years old now. So all of those people who were, 17 when we first started, they're now 34 and they've got kids who need to eat. a decent feed when they're out. All right, culture. This is the question mark. So as you can see, great that the keynote speakers did it for me. Culture is so important. It's, if you don't have the culture in your company that embraces change and embraces innovative thinking, your social media program is going to die. Social media isn't new marketing, it's new media, so don't get scared. Okay? It's just another channel, very, very simply. Fundamentals of business and marketing still apply to social media. Remember that. Really, really important. And this is where the culture comes in. Bring in the next one. Are you interested in changing your business, or do you expect to do the same thing and get different results? Change or die. If you have a customer that says, you need to stop doing this, or your product is crap, change your product. Don't just walk around with your hands over your ears and pretend it's not happening. A lot of people don't want to go on social media because they're worried that what people might say. Just because they're not saying it on Twitter, they're not saying it on social media, doesn't mean it's not true. You want to hear the stuff. Your customers are trying to tell you that you could be better. And they only tell you that you could be better if they want you to be better. Your customers are screaming out at you saying, I want to buy your product. I have this money. I hate going to a place where I want to spend some money, but they make it hard for me to give it to them. That's what it feels like sometimes. You ever been to a place where it's like, I've got this money, and it's like, I want to give it to you. Here's $100. Oh, I've got to go see that person to give you $100. Forget about it. Are you interested in listening to your customers, or do you want to pretend nothing is happening? Listening and hearing, different things, okay? There's so much stuff out there, sentiment monitoring, we do a lot of that, but you actually have to hear. Look at what they're saying, look at the underlying messages, look at the sentiment, understand that. It's qualitative data, spend the time looking at it. Don't just go, hey, we've got all these reports, it's great, positive tweets, blah, 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 blah. Here's the report, I've got 20,000 likes on the page or whatever. That's not what analytics in social media is about. It's about listening to the message your customers are giving you. Finally, okay, over the last 30 minutes, 20 million pieces of content were shared on Facebook, 3.5 million tweets were posted. We sat here and looked at PowerSlaunch. Nothing comes from nothing. That's the reality of life. Nothing comes from nothing. If you want to go do something, go do something. It's simple as that. Many people go to motivational or these sorts of presentations, they do nothing afterwards, and this is probably not going to be any different, but if you want to make a change, do it. Social media, I mean, this all happened in this time while I was blabbing on, so get out there. You've got no time to waste. Do it. That's me.